All right, welcome back to continuing the discussion, Genesis 19. When God rescues and judges. Now, so we're back, and I think today we're continuing the discussion on Genesis 19. And this one, it's not an easy chapter. There's judgment, there's rescue, there's moral confusion, and then there's the haunting image of Lot's wife frozen in place, caught between two worlds. Now let's take it slowly and talk honestly. Because Genesis 19 forces us to wrestle with some big questions about God, justice, mercy, and our own hearts. Question number one, what does this chapter teach us about the nature of God's justice and mercy? How do I wrestle with a God who rescues and judges? This is the tension at the center of the story. God shows up in power to destroy Sodom, but at the same time he sends messengers to rescue Lot. There's mercy and wrath in the same moment. Now, if we're honest, this makes a lot of us uncomfortable. We like the God who forgives, the God who protects, the God who shows up with blessing. But what about the God who brings fire from heaven? What do we do with that? Let's slow down here, because what we see in Genesis 19 isn't a God who flies off the handle. This judgment doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes after decades of evil, after divine investigation in chapter 18, and after a chance of intercession. The people of Sodom weren't just messing up. They were corrupt to the core, oppressive, violent, inhospitable, arrogant, and still God rescues Lot. But he doesn't rescue Lot because Lot earned it. He rescues him because of the covenant mercy. The Bible says God remembered Abraham. That's huge. Lot is pulled out literally by the hand because God keeps his promises, even when people falter. So here's the hard part. Judgment isn't the opposite of mercy. It's the flip side of love. A God who doesn't care about evil isn't loving. A God who never judges isn't just. God's judgment shows that he sees the cries of the oppressed. He doesn't turn away from the abused or the broken. He will act, but he always offers a path of rescue first. And that's what we're living in right now, a window of mercy. Jesus said the days before his return would be like the days of Lot. That means we still live in the tension, God rescuing, God warning. So let me ask you, how do you hold that tension in your own walk with God? Do you find yourself avoiding the judgment side or struggling to believe in his mercy? I'll let you sit with that for a second. Question 2. Why do we sometimes hesitate like Lot or look back like his wife, even when God is clearly calling us forward? What holds us to what God is trying to pull us out of us? Let's talk about Lot's hesitation and Lot and his wife's backward glance. When the angels tell Lot to leave, he lingers. The Hebrew is so honest here. He stalls, he hesitates. And you know what? I get it. This is a place that he knows. It's his home. His daughters are engaged to men here. His life is built into the city. Even though he knows it's broken, it's hard to walk away from what's familiar. Even when it's killing us, it's part of the human story. God calls us out of things all the time. Addictions, toxic relationships, false identities, worldly outcomes. And we hesitate. Not because we don't trust God, but because we've grown used to the mess. Lot's wife, she couldn't let go. She looked back, and she was undone. Now, the Hebrew word here isn't just a glance. It's a gaze, an aching look, a longing, like she was saying, I'm not ready to leave. And sometimes we're there too. We try to move forward, but we keep looking back at who we used to be or what we used to want, and we get stuck. Jesus said, remember Lot's wife in Luke 17:32, not to blame her, but to wake us up. What is God trying to pull you out of right now that you're still looking back at? What do you need to let go of? Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, even mentally. Sometimes it's comfort. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's regret. We can't accept what God could really, we can't accept that God would really rescue us. But hear me. If God reaches for your hand, don't delay. He's calling you out something. It's not because he wants to take. It's because he wants to save. But Genesis 19 isn't a feel-good story, but it's a necessary one. It shows us that God sees evil and he will deal with it. But he also is a God who grabs us by the hand when we hesitate, who remembers his promises, even when we can't see the path forward, who gives us every chance to run toward life. So as you think about this chapter, let me leave you with 2 questions to take into prayer or journaling this week. 1, where do you see both justice and mercy in my story right now? How do I need to make peace with both? Meaning yourself. And 2, what's one thing I'm tempted to look back at, even though I know God is leading me somewhere new? Well, thanks for sitting with me with this story today. Let it work on you. Let it challenge you. And I'll see you in the next chapter.